Salam and peace. This is Imam Malik Mujahid, and we're talking today on Galaxy 19 satellite. That's where Muslim Network TV is. It covers the whole United States, Mexico, and Canada. And you can also watch us on Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, or on your own app. You can download our app and watch it there. And muslimnetwork.tv is our website. And if you need, if you're used to watching everything on YouTube, you can look for us there, Muslim Network TV. But do remember to subscribe if you watch over there. Something very interesting is happening last week, and it is making headlines in the area of business, in the area of in media, as well as some politicians and some celebrities are chiming in. So what is happening on the Wall Street? So a tweet of several people saying, hold the line, hashtag that is, don't sell, hashtag, and AMC, GME. GME stock, which was down substantially yesterday, is 72% up. Last time I checked, which was just 10 minutes ago. So the company through which all these people who are buying a stock in the certain companies is coming through Robinhood. And Robinhood app says, and I quote on their Twitter account, democratizing finances for all. Well, since it is democratizing finances for all, so second youngest congresswoman and a socialist, AOC, say, and I quote, we now need to know more about Robinhood app's decision to block retail investors from purchasing stock while hedge funds are freely able to trade this stock as they see fit, unquote. So here comes the politician and here comes the celebrity industrialist, or shall I say capitalist, Elon Musk. He agrees. Well, in our faith, Islam, it is actually a sin to sell something which you don't own. But that's what short sell and a whole lot of stock market is all about. What is going on? I don't have a clue about that. But somebody who knows these things and write about those things is here with us. And somebody who plays with the trade is going to be joining us as well. So we have with us Bruno Navarro. Welcome to Muslim Network TV.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Bruno Navarro is a freelance editorial director and former reporter and editor who has covered business, technology, well, business and technology combined, that's what we need to talk about, and fashion for NBC News, CNBC, and the Associated Press, among other things. So tell us, Bruno, what is happening here?
Well, the very basic explanation is that there is a message board on Reddit called Wall Street Bets. And it's basically people who like to opine on stock, people who are day trading, and probably some financial experts too. And so over the past couple of weeks, really, what has happened is that they had started to promote GameStop and a couple of other stocks, including the movie theater chain AMC and BlackBerry, which are stocks that have been really low for the past several months, probably maybe even longer than that. And what they've done is that a 34-year-old Massachusetts man months ago decided to look into GameStop and liked what he saw in the financial reports and in the annual quarterly reports, and thought that the stock was undervalued. So later he found out that hedge funds were betting against the stock or shorting the stock, and that means that they're betting that the price of the stock will go down. And it's a little complicated, but basically he figured that if he got enough momentum going, people on Wall Street Bets decided that they would start buying stock in GameStop. And so what happened is that the price rose, and as the price continued to rise, all these people who had made bets on the stock going down started to lose money. And there are some, we're talking about billions of dollars, because positions that the hedge funds hold are pretty large positions. And so over the past week, the price has been going up. It got up to, I believe I saw it go over 400. I've seen it go up to 380 or so.
Yeah,
and
it touched 500 at one point.
Yeah, I believe it. I don't own stock in it, but so I haven't seen. I'm not tracking it on a minute by minute basis. But what happens is all of these hedge funds who have borrowed the stock without owning it now have to pay it back. So they borrowed it at a low price, say $10 a share, and now they're having to pay back the stock at at $300, $400, $500, as you say. And so in response to this, Robinhood and other stock trading platforms have decided to. Yesterday, they halted the trading of those particularly volatile stocks. And Robinhood at one point was only allowing its users to sell the stock, which puts downward pressure on the stock price. So that's sort of it in a nutshell.
So Robinhood, historically a different type of a character, was at this moment playing for the other side. At this moment, it seems like.
Oh, that's the accusation from a lot of the online chatter that's going on. One of the ways, interesting business model is that it provides free trading for its users, which is people see as a benefit. But there's a saying that goes, if a product is free, then you are the product. And so what Robinhood does is it sells the information about its orders to larger organizations, larger trading platforms. They get to see the orders before they come in, and the charges that those platforms are able to front run or buy a split second before, and make sometimes hundredths of a cent on every stock transaction, and over time and with large volume, that can really add up.
So Asif Hussain, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Welcome to Muslim Network TV. Could you be a little more in the center of the screen? Bit?
Sure.
Tell us, how do you read what is happening?
Yeah, let me just sharing my screen. So, sorry about that. I'm trying to get my camera here. Yeah, no, I pretty much echo everything Mr. Navarro had just said. But if I can add a little bit more of a context as to why this is going on. So in 2008, we had the financial crisis, which was a cause of big banks and hedge funds gambling, essentially committing fraud. And as a result, the government bailed them out, but the average Joe didn't get bailed out. My own father, his 401k, I remember at that time, depleted to like 80%. It was a very hard period for a lot of Americans, and there's a lot of anger because the banks got bailed out, but the average Joe didn't, right? And so a lot of these kids who back then they were in high school, who are now a little bit older, they haven't forgotten that, right? So there's class warfare between the banks, the hedge funds, and the average Joe. And so what Mr. Bruno was saying, a lot of these kids who are now adults are on Reddit now, college educated, very sophisticated. If you go on the forums, some of their analysis are actually better than, these $1 million hedge fund analysts. And what essentially happened was these traders, these young traders who want to push up the stock of GameStop, they don't care whether they make money or not. I suppose many do, but a lot of them don't. A lot of it is really about getting back at these hedge funds for what they did in 2008, the corruption, the crime, the criminality, and how it impacted people's lives. And just keep in mind, the average person in 2008 didn't get bailed out. The banks did, right? The banks actually lost. They crippled our economy, but they still got bonuses. When the average Joe lost their job, they lost their homes. It was a bad period of time. I remember that period of time. And so what happened is on Reddit, there's a community of people who all you could say colluded. It was, in my mind, it's not illegal. What they did is they all came up with an idea to push up the stock, to simultaneously buy GameStop and do not sell, for the simple reason that GameStop is the most heavily shorted stock in the stock market. It's shorted 130%, which makes no sense. Like, how can somebody short a stock more than 100%? Which essentially means that all these hedge funds basically were 130% sure that the stock was going to go to zero, right? Little did they know the power of people, of young people who are determined. And what they did was they just started buying and buying and buying. We're talking about like 1 million or so people, millennials, probably not putting that much money in, probably putting five to 10 grand in. But when you add 1 million people doing that, and then more people started finding out about it who are not on Reddit, and they're piling in, and everyone's piling in. And like Mr. Bruno said, as the stock goes up, those people who are short are losing a lot of money, so they have to cover, and the stock continues to go up. And then to add a little bit more misery to the shorts, this is a little complex concept here, is a lot of these traders were buying call options, way out the money call options, and I can explain what that means, but that's for a different day. And the market makers sell these call options. So basically, these traders are saying, "Hey, we're gonna bet. I'm gonna buy this call option 2 weeks out, and I'm gonna make a bet that GameStop's gonna reach $400, right?" And there's market makers like Citadel and other Wall Street banks that sell these call options. If the call options go up, market makers are losing money. So what they have to do, it's called gamma short squeeze, is they have to start buying the GameStop to cover the short call contracts that they're selling. So that also increases the price. So you have these three different various pressures of price increases that are going on simultaneously, and you have and it's going on with very determined people. These aren't people like myself who are trading for a profit. These are people like myself. These are people who are trading because they want to get back at the big banks because the system's rigged. It's 100% rigged.
So, Bruno, how can companies short more than 100% of their shares? Are there regulations to prevent that?
Well, the interesting thing, I think one of the best ways to understand shorts, actually, I saw on Twitter, Bust Magazine had a great analogy. So their analogy was that if you say somebody has a dress that they bought for $30, and I say to that person, "Let me borrow your dress. I'll give it back to you in 2 weeks." And I'll give you $5 on top of that for borrowing the dress. Then I take the dress, I go to Target, and I see, and I wait, and I hope that it goes on sale for $10. And if it goes on sale for $10, I buy the dress, and I return the dress to you, and so I make a profit. What happened is the other side of that. Sorry, the other side of that is, say, before the dress goes on sale at Target, somebody wears that same dress to the Academy Awards. Now, all of a sudden, it's a very high demand. And now it's sold out at Target. I can't go and buy that dress to give back to you. So now the only place I can buy the dress is on eBay. And now the dress is not $30, now it's $120. And so I still have to return the dress to you in 2 weeks. And now I'm paying, that higher price. So I'm losing money. And so what the other aspect of it, and this is where Wall Street Bets comes in, the Reddit group comes in, is that somebody is talking about Target and saying that, oh, Target's dress factory is full of lice, it's full of bugs, it's full of diseases, and so if you buy that dress, you're going to get sick. It's a bad thing. So that they're trying to push the price down. And so what happened is that people on Wall Street Bets decided that celebrities were going to keep wearing that dress, and so the price and the demand for those stocks are still going up. If that makes
You're
sense.
watching Muslim Network TV. This is Imam Malik Mujahid, and with me is Bruno Navarro, who is a journalist, and Arif Hussain, who is a trader. We'll be right back after these messages.
My wife, she's a professor at the University of Cincinnati, who's Catholic, and by her watching and listening to our 3-year-old son watch Adam's World, she ended up taking Kalima Shahada. She embraced Islam because she learned so much about Islam and the other prophets. It really affected our life in a great way, and because of Sound Vision and Adam's World, we're Muslims.
I took my Shahada 15 years ago, and I actually am from a rural part of Ohio. And so I found the catalog for Sound Vision, and I ordered the tapes and the CDs and the books, and I used those, and especially for my little daughter, that's how we basically learned our Islam, and Islam entered our hearts through the wonderful works of Sound Vision.
Okay, assalamu alaikum, brother. I just want you to know that I love the Sound Vision website, that a lot of times when I'm looking for information, especially as it relates to homelessness, domestic violence, and women issues, I go to that website, and then I see what you've written, and then I copy and paste it, and spread the word, because the wisdom is there, so I can't do any better than what Sound Vision has already done.
Sound Vision is our survival guide. It is the organization that provides skills for Muslims how to survive and thrive in this community here in the U.S.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Anam, I'm in 11th grade, and I grew up with Adam's World, and what it taught me was unity, respect, and love for the Muslim Ummah.
Adam's World is the greatest show ever made. Take me to the Kaaba, man. I love that puppet.
Welcome back to Muslim Network TV. This is Imam Malik Mujahid. I'm talking with Arif Hussain and Bruno Navarro about the stock market. What is going on? Arif, you presented it. There are people who are holding a grudge.
Yes.
And they're willing to take known risk to them that they might lose the money as long as they can teach a lesson to the big shots and the bankers and hedge fund managers. Don't you think they will ultimately take a loss?
Yes, but they don't care. These people, if you go on Wall Street Bets, it's a community of very strong-minded people who are very, very angry at the system. Not just the financial system, the political system, the entire establishment system, because the entire system is rigged against the average guy and is in favor of the little guy. Let's just talk for a brief moment what Robinhood and International Brokers did. They halted buying yesterday for GameStop. But the hedge, and what they did is, obviously there's no buying pressure, price is going to come down. That allowed the hedge funds to cover their shorts, okay? And let's not make no mistake, and I'm going to use this phrase, these brokers are in bed with the hedge funds, with Citadel, and with different banks. I have no proof. I believe there was collusion involved. I believe Citadel knew in advance that Robinhood was going to halt trading, and that's all that was. They wanted to give the hedge funds an edge on the little guy, partially because these hedge funds are their customers. They're paying them for order flow, as Mr. Bruno has said. And it's just completely unfair. I mean, I've been trading for a long time, and I'm telling you, hedge funds are always, they can break the rules and get away with it. The little guy can't. The little guy loses half his portfolio. Guess what? He's done with. A hedge fund loses half his portfolio. Guess what? They got money coming in from all sorts of different places, right? And it's a grudge, but the main grudge goes back to 2008. If you go on Wall Street Bets, you will hear and read a lot of people talk about the pain that their family went through. Sorry, my camera's not there. That their family had gone through during the financial crisis because of these banks, right? Because of what happened, because of people losing their 401ks, and they were angry to see that. And this is a grudge that they want to get back. Sure, there's people that want to make money on it, but a lot of them don't care. A lot of them just want to teach these guys a lesson and want them to incur massive losses.
Okay, Bruno, do you think they will be able to ensure massive losses to hedge funds and people who are doing all the short selling?
They already have.
It does appear they already have. There was a Friday expiration. A lot of these short bets had to be paid back, had to be closed out by Friday. Hedge funds have already said that they are going to stop their short positions in GameStop and probably a few other stocks as well. How much of that is true, how much of it is verifiable, I'm not sure. Did they cut some of their losses? Probably, but it's hard to tell whether they're being 100% upfront at this point also.
Arif, how would you define a hedge fund? What is a hedge fund?
Yeah, it's a good question. A hedge fund, in the simplest terms, is a company that invest billions of dollars for different entities such as pension funds. And there's some downside to what's going on, because if GameStop is part of these pension funds, then they can be impacted. But they invest for pension funds, for other agencies, for extremely wealthy people. They basically manage money for very wealthy institutions, not just people, but other institutions, for states, for schools, and so forth. Hedge funds are supposed to be the professionals. Historically, if you got a good hedge fund, you can see a 40 to 50% return. And so that's what they do. I mean, because these pension funds, these states, this is not their expertise. So they give the money to the hedge fund charges them a fee, and they take a commission, and they make billions and billions of dollars, but not this year or not this month.
Okay, Bruno, you want to add something to it?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. The revenue model has traditionally also been 2 and 20, so they sort of make money regardless of whether they win or lose. So the 2 and 20 model is they take 2% of profits. They take 2% of the assets under management as a fee, and they take 20% of profits above that. So win or lose, they're getting they're getting a paycheck.
They're getting their 2%, but they're not getting their 20%.
Right.
So Arif, this so small investors who is seeing this news, watching on TV what drama is going on, and they want to be part of it, what do you will advise to them?
Stay away. Unless you don't care about losing money, stay away.
Okay.
Look, at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you, I don't know when GameStop is gonna collapse. Okay, because the truth of the matter is the fundamentals do not match the price. I think everyone agrees with that. This is the price momentum, and I'm kind of happy this is happening because I believe these hedge funds deserve a payback. Okay, but the price does not match the fundamentals. There is going to be a point when it's going to come crashing down, and a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money. The price is way too high to buy. You might get lucky and make money on it, but at some point it's going to come crashing down. If you do want to get some exposure, I would only do it with the amount of money that you're willing to lose.
Yeah, one thing I would add is just at this point it's gambling. The time, if you were going to get in, the time to get in would have been a week or two ago before it received so much attention from not only the general public, but other people on Reddit, other people online, people on Twitter, the news media, and regulators and lawmakers.
So there will be some people so it's sort of a new type of Occupy Wall Street by some young people who are willing to sacrifice their money to teach a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this thing will, Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street, was sort of inspired by the, Arab Spring demonstrations and Occupy this and Occupy that. Unfortunately, that fizzled out thanks to the dictators and the Western leaders who didn't care for democracy in those countries. It turned into a major tragedy of refugees and all that. Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street also fizzled out, but how long you going to sit there out in the elements? So this particular episode, do you think it is going to result in any type of reform in our system? Any one of you?
I think so. Yeah, Congress is already going to have a hearing about it. There's a lot of chatter about it. It is a free market, but I think there's going to be some regulation to market manipulation. To what extent, I don't know. But Congress is already talking about having hearings about it, and they're already getting involved. Let me just be clear: the market manipulation is not happening on the retail side. From my understanding, you can talk to your friends and all plan on buying stock at the same time. It just so happened that Wall Street Bets is a community of 2 million people. But what the hedge funds have done, look, I know people on Wall Street. There's crimes committed on a daily basis, insider trading, market manipulation, and it's always done on the unsophisticated investor. They take their money, they leave them holding the bags, laugh at them to the bank. But getting back to your point, there will be regulation, but I think there's going to be more regulation under the Biden administration towards the hedge funds and not the retail investors.
Do you think all this particular group on Reddit who is willing to, who wants to take a revenge and teach them a lesson and all that, willing to risk their personal money on it, do you think they will transform in somehow in a group who will try to weigh in and influence what type of reforms comes in? So reforms are in favor of the little guy as compared to hedge fund manager.
It's an excellent question. I think they have to, or else how are they going to understand where the little guy's coming from? There's a few people on Wall Street Bets who are kind of the main people who kind of ran this program. It would be smart of them to invite them, and I think that's the only way you can self-regulate. You're not going to get a pundit from CNBC. No offense if anybody's worked there. Nobody because the mainstream financial media, they're all, for the most part, they're on the side of the hedge funds because they all work together and they're all friends and so forth. So you got to get the average investor involved, or else nothing's going to change.
Bruno, now you mentioned you work for some of those organizations which Arif mentioned here. Tell me this: are there some reporters or some people in media who recommend these, buy this stock, don't buy this, and all of that, who have integrity, who are not personally benefiting from it, or all of them benefit from it while they talk about it? It's the general population. Not only they have been a skeptic of the politician, but of course they're a skeptic of the Wall Street and all these people as well. So, and they have a skepticism towards media. When Gallup rates professions in the country, guess what are the lowest three professions? Politicians and media. I mean, this is not just yesterday or a Trump phenomena. This is going on for last 10 years. It may be even older than that, but I saw the Gallup poll for professional rating in the eyes of American people. And physicians, military physicians, and teachers are among the top three professions. So what do you think? Are there some people with integrity whose advice these young investors, because they want to make money also, if given a fair choice, besides this revenge type of Wall Street participation?
I think that people on Wall Street Bets are smart enough to know what's happening, what the conversation is on outlets like CNBC, where I used to work many years ago. But at the same time, I think the democratization of not only trading but information and ways to share that information has also led them to be more skeptical and to do their own research and to come up with their own thesis and not just listen to the talking heads on TV, which honestly is a good thing. I worked at CNBC, and I would see, I'm not casting aspersions on any of the journalists that work there, but you invite a trader that says, Apple is going to go to $2,000 a share, and you have somebody else on that says, Apple is going to go down to $10 a share, and after a while you get to see that it's almost a game for a lot of these people on air. I'm not talking about the journalists. I'm talking about the guests that get invited onto these shows. And, it's also important to note who's being invited to speak. You don't often see, there was an interview with that Senator Elizabeth Warren had on CNBC. I think it was either this morning or yesterday. I saw the clip this morning where she was talking about a 2% wealth tax, and the host was pushing back, saying, is this a good idea? I'm just playing devil's advocate. And Elizabeth Warren rightly said, I think it's hyperbole that you're implying that wealthy people are going to leave the United States in droves just because of a 2% wealth tax. So it's always interesting to see who they have as guests, and I think there's skepticism that ought to be there from
so
people on Wall Street Bets.
Congress, if there is some inside trading, there's an ethics committee of the Congress which is going to check that. In media, since media is different than the Congress, there are multiple centers of it. Is there any ethics committee which keeps an eye on journalists if they are involved in some type of, under the table handling with what a stock goes up, what a stock goes down, and things of this nature?
Well, when you work at CNBC, when you're a reporter, an editor, when you're working on any of the shows, you're not allowed to trade stocks. You're not allowed to trade individual stocks because they don't want that sort of influence or conflict of interest to play a role. But everybody does have a 401k. Not everyone, but a lot of people who work full-time jobs and white-collar jobs have 401ks. When guests go on there and there's a story written about them, you have the disclosure saying that the last quarter these people own certain stocks. So there's a little bit of protection. Journalists at mainstream news organizations aren't trading on the information that they're reporting before it's reported. So, I don't know if that helps instill any confidence, but, you also have to look at the topics that are being covered, and, there's a reason for skepticism in those internet chat boards.
You're watching Muslim Network TV. This is Imam Malik Mujahid, and we're talking with Bruno Navarro and Asif Arif Hussain, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Adam. You remember me? I appeared in so many episodes that Sound Vision has put on the market, no matter what. Hey, what's happening? Hey, oh, sorry. Lockdown is what it is. Well, continuing here. In this lockdown, Sound Vision never stops thinking about you, the viewer. We'll have to get back into production again, online and inline. Everybody in their own space, even me. Although I'm stuck with Lanisa.
Salam! Salam! Salam!
I know, you were shocked too. Well, let me continue. This is what I was going to say. Salam! 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 Cut! Finally, I get my own screen time again. Thank God. And so we invested in new equipment to bring you even better production with new songs and new singers and animations. Well, here are a few clips. And Sound Vision has brought all this into your home, making Islamic values and teachings easy. And if you know me, Adam, a multi-talented actor, well, sometimes I'm an actor and the reporter and the... Oh, that's enough. Let's move on to the next section. Well, you can watch these new episodes on our new app at www.adamsworldapp.com. We have previews happening every day on Muslim Network TV. Sound Vision has been serving generations, moving and changing with the times. We are all faithfully connected. That is a huge blessing. Your donation helps keep these programs available now and into the future. We take this job of helping tomorrow's Muslims today seriously, and you should too. Today, we need your help. Children absorb and learn from everything they encounter. Make that wholesome, positive, grounded in our faith. Together, we can accomplish our goal of raising better Muslims, better neighbors, and better citizens. Please donate generously. It's an investment in our future. But to finish, let me tell you, there are new scripts of my new mission. And it is something that I enjoy talking about. My new mission is space. Houston, we do not have a problem. Salam, see you soon. Me too.
Welcome back to Muslim Network TV. This is Imam Malik Mujahid talking with Bruno Navarro and Arif Hussain. Arif, what advice? Well, first tell us what is the difference between trading and investment, just for somebody who's watching this show.
Yeah, so trading is essentially you don't really care necessarily about the fundamentals or macro environment or political stuff that's going on. You're simply looking at price movements, charts, the technicals, and your sole goal is to make money on a short-term basis. People get in and out of positions within days, weeks, or whatever. Investing, something my father does, is you do your research on a company you believe in, and you buy that company and you hold it for a long period of time. The truth is that investing actually in the long run will probably get you better returns. Unfortunately for the younger generation, it's not as fun, so they engage in trading more. But that's the difference. Trading is a lot more stressful. It's not based on whatever the news is, whatever the jobs reports are, and things of that, because you can make money whether the market goes up or down. It's really short term, based on technicals and price flows and the price flows that are coming in and out in a variety of factors. And again, investing is more long term, buying good, strong companies for an extended period of time. What Warren Buffett basically does.
Okay, so how cyclical? I mean, this stock market often goes really down. I mean, it happened March last year.
Mm-hmm.
And so what is the general cycle of up and downs of a stock? I mean, not small, but the big one. Is it historically, one can say that every 2 years it goes substantially down, or every 10 years there is a major drop in there?
So I can answer that, Bruno, if you want it next. So what we saw in March was really unexpected. Nobody expected it. It's what's called a black swan event, which is like a 9/11, something terrible that happens freaks out the market and the market crashes. Okay, so that's one thing. But from a cyclical event, we've been in a bull run since 2008, right? In within those bull runs, there's corrections. A correction is when a stock or when the market is 10% lower than its previous highs. But cyclically speaking, it's really hard to predict. That's market timing, and that's very hard to do. But the thesis I go by is every 12 months in a bull run, you should look for about a 10% correction. So my personal thesis, I'm not giving any investment advice, but I do think we're in for a 10% correction in the next few weeks.
Okay, so Bruno, what are the writers or people who talk about a stock, who recommend a stock, you think have more integrity? Give names,
specific people. I don't, I don't digital writers for their stock advice. I basically what I think is helpful is to understand, if you're going to invest, I think it's important to understand the stock, the company, the financial climate, the possible risks that it faces. I think all of those things have more of an effect on any given stock than than any financial journalist or almost any single investor's quotes on CNBC. So I would look at that.
Okay, so should the short selling be banned?
No, because there's a lot of fraudulent companies, like you remember Enron. Enron was a fraudulent company. There was Valiant Pharmaceuticals. There's companies that are committing fraud, and the only way to bring those companies to justice is to short sell them and put them out of business.
Okay, but how do you sell something which you don't own?
So Bruno kind of explained that you borrow shares from somebody else, like not from your friend, but the brokerage kind of manages that process, and then you pay interest on that, and then you sell them short, and then whatever you buy it back at, you return it back to the original owner.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely think there's a place for short selling, because there has been a history of companies committing fraud without investors knowing, and it takes short selling to expose those companies.
Mm. Well, that's and it's an instrument which can only be used when a group decides, like a Reddit group, that this is what they want to do. But has short sell been used as a technique to teach a lesson in the past?
I don't know, Bruno, do you know the answer to that?
I don't know that it's been used specifically to bankrupt companies that hedge funds have targeted. I don't know that that's been the case.
Oh.
In the past, we've seen hedge funds with short positions come out with research. There are a few hedge funds that specifically focus on short selling, and they've looked into companies and then they release a report. Of course, the effect of releasing, for a big company to release a report like that saying that company XYZ is performing poorly and the stock is overvalued and should go down. Just the effect of having that report out, obviously influences this, can influence the stock price.
Yeah.
So
just to add to that, I agree with everything you said. However, I do think that 130% short interest in GameStop, I think the goal was to put them out of business and put the workers out of business. It's no way of proving it. It's just my analysis. I mean, if you're 130% short on a company, I think there's a legitimate thesis to say that there's ill intentions of putting a company out of business, putting workers unemployed, and so forth. And look, I'm not holding any bones about this. I think hedge funds are corrupt, extremely corrupt.
Okay, so I mean, it has, I mean, not only they're using the word bet, but also, so it, you know, what is stock market is a more appropriate, and what is more like a gambling?
Well, so gambling would be like, I know a lot of people gamble. They know nothing about the markets. They just say hey, this price is low, I'm going to buy it. They know nothing about the technicals, the science behind it, thinking it's going to go up. That's gambling. But what's not gambling is if you understand the science behind it. There's a deep science behind trading. Um, it's extremely extensive. It's very technical. It's very innovative. And there's a lot of algorithms and things that you can use. That would be kind of like any other profession. I mean, to be quite honest, a lot of these hedge funds, they hire the smartest people in the world. They hire mathematics majors from Harvard because they're so good at math, because trading, a lot of that is math. So gambling would be a lot of the people on Reddit, to be honest. Some, not all, who are just buying without knowing anything. And then trading is the people that are actually using the science behind it.
In 2020, in June, there was a report, a 20-year-old Robinhood customer committed suicide after seeing the number that he's minus 730,000 in, you know, sort of negative balance. Gamblers commit suicide also. And here's a young person who, I don't know how much this person knew and how much that person did not know. Are you worried about a whole lot of people who are trying to teach a lesson to those guys who have huge mathematician working for them and who are, you know, investors but doing trade as well?
Yeah.
So are you concerned about these younger people who are technically smart but may not know all the tricks?
Yeah, absolutely. And Bruno, I'll let you answer in a second. That specific instance you're talking about is an absolute tragedy, because that individual, what happens when you do complex options, the settlement value, your actual profit and loss doesn't really update till the next day. He actually only lost like $700 because once the market closes, the option prices are all wild and they don't correct until then. You really don't know what you made in these complex option derivatives until the next day. He didn't know that because he's a young kid and wasn't an educated investor. His P&L showed he lost a lot of money, but when it cleared up, he didn't lose a lot of money. He lost I think like $700. So the answer to your question is yes, it's very concerning. I think the online brokerages need to have a better system to show accurate P&L at the close of market. Because even myself, I've seen myself down 3,000. The next day it corrects itself and I'm up a great deal. And it's if I didn't know any better, I mean, I wouldn't kill myself, but. Yeah.
So how many people are in Wall Street, Bruno? Do you have any idea? Should we get this education into our schools? Because if younger people are going to be playing and all that, don't you think literacy need to be up?
Yeah, I mean, that plays perfectly into what I was going to say, is that where this needs to begin is financial literacy, which needs to be taught in schools. We look at schools in Singapore, throughout Asia, and even in Europe, and Americans are falling behind in basic numeracy skills. And I think financial literacy is absolutely important, because the app, being able to trade on an app and to leverage whatever money you have by 10 times, 50 times, can be a dangerous thing. It's an app, so it looks like a game and it feels like a game. And, I think sometimes people don't understand, especially younger traders, younger users of trading apps, don't necessarily understand that there's real money behind that and there's real consequences. And I think one of the things that people need to keep in mind is that you should never play with more money than you can stand to lose, especially in situations like these. But absolutely, it does come to education and financial literacy, which one of the books that helped me when I graduated from college and got my first job and moved away, and I was making money, and I didn't know what to do with it. And being a young kid, being 21, 22 years old, I could have done very stupid things and blown my money very easily. So I ended up buying a book called Personal Finances for Dummies, which is kind of funny to me now, but it provided a basic understanding of financial instruments and how to invest your money and how to think about money. And so, yes, education absolutely is important.
Okay, so education on one side for the consumer are those people who are individual investors, but what type of reform can we expect? If your congressman is listening to you, congresswoman, what advice, what you want her to do in terms of reforming Wall Street?
I want there to be a level playing field with the hedge funds, big banks, and the retail investors, because there's not a level playing field. Robinhood banned buying, yet the hedge funds were still able to buy because they have more advanced more advanced technology they can trade on their own. There's got to be a level playing field, right? And there's just not a level playing field at this moment.
So AOC and Elon Musk, one socialist, one capitalist, both agree with you. So Bruno, what reform would you like to see?
Well, I think Arif makes a great point. I think a level playing field is really the ideal, because money looks out for itself, and so you have people at large financial organizations have access to lawmakers, and so AOC can talk about reforms and she can put out proposals, but the CEO of BlackRock or the people at the head of Citadel are able to call lawmakers and influence them and and host fundraisers for them, and so what I would like to see is a level playing field too. There's a book by Michael Lewis called Flash Boys. It's a fascinating look at how much money and how much effort financial organizations are willing to spend to keep their advantage and to increase their advantage. So if you're not familiar with the book, it talks about how investors looked to create a connection, a physical, wired connection between markets that was shorter to give them, thousandths of seconds of lead time of advantage over other investors. So if an order is routed from a New Jersey location to the New York Stock Exchange, that transaction takes say 3 millionths of a second. If a trader is able to establish a connection or find a connection that's 2,000ths of a second, they can actually, with computers, they can actually use that advantage to go and undercut the order and then sell it at a profit. And over millions and millions of shares, it adds up to real money. So a level playing field is probably what they fear most.
Where we agree, socialist, capitalist, and you and I all agree, level playing field. Well, thank you so much, Bruno Navarro, for your time. And thank you, Arif Hussain, for joining us. Truly appreciate that. And thank you, Sherdil Khan and Dr. Abdul Wahid for producing today's show. And thank you for watching. You're watching Muslim Network TV on Galaxy 19 satellite, covering USA, Mexico, and Canada, coast to coast, north to south, as well as Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and Apple TV. You can download our app, Muslim Network TV, or go on our website, muslimnetwork.tv. Peace. Thank you.